What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm on Talks Gaming today, people. Today we are going to be going over my Vampiric Aristocracy. I think that's how you pronounce it. Deck profile. I am back. We are back with more amazing Speed Duel content. As you can see from this screen here, I am going to be showing you the best vampire deck you've ever seen. So good that we're playing a Genesis skill, and we're not even playing Vampire Genesis. That's how good of a deck this is. No, this is a total meme deck. Before we begin and everything, I want you all to check out the Speed Duel League Discord. So the link to that's going to be in the description down below. If you go to Discord and you go to the Vampires deck list, I want to see your guys' deck list here and any ideas that you have for the deck, because I think this is probably one of the most best combo decks that we have out of the box. And I feel like with enough brains behind it, the deck can actually be really decent. So if you guys have your own ideas for vampires, whether it's like this build itself or a different type of build, like the Twisted Personality build that's getting a lot of love right now, definitely come to this page here, leave your deck list here, and then just be like at Toxin, just like at me on it. And then if I like any of the list that you guys drop on here, I'm going to do a YouTube short on it. That way, yeah, I can get you all involved with the channel as well. But yeah, without further ado, we're going to jump right into this deck profile. Vampiric Aristocracy. If you don't know, this is a brand new skill from the Speed Duel Duelist of Shadows box, and it is going off of the vampire lady whose name I don't know. But her skill is actually really unique and really interesting. I love skills that come to Speed Duels and give a boss monster that was not good in regular Yu-Gi-Oh! A reason to be good. I think this skill has a lot of potential. I think that it's very good for anybody that is new being introduced to Speed Duels, because it teaches you combos, and it also gives like an old structure deck monster like an effect. It is really good with teaching you how skills work, and it's also really good with teaching you how graveyard effects work. So if you are brand new to the game or getting a friend into the game, this is the deck I recommend that you hand them and teach them with. But yeah, without further ado, Vampiric Aristocracy is a brand new skill that is based around the vampire archetype that was released in this set. It says that once per duel, you can change the name of a zombie vampire monster you control to Vampire Lord. And if you don't know, that's good because you can bring out your Vampire Genesis by tributing a Vampire Lord. It also says that each Vampire Genesis you should control gains the following effect. If this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard and set it to your field. Now this is any card, so it can be as simple as you using this effect at dealing damage, and then you can set your opponent's Zone of the Spirit from the graveyard to the field. Galaxy Cyclones, Wall of Disruptions. If you're against vampires, you can get their own vampire cards from it. It's a very good skill because you're able to steal your opponent's graveyard resources that they have already used. And I think that is very strong in this format. I think that any way that you can steal your opponent's resources from the GY is pretty strong. And yeah, being able to get Wall of Disruptions, Floodgate Trap Holes, any powerful trap card in the current format, or even like any powerful monster card in the current format is really nice. Personally, like just being able to hit over like say a Senju playing against Cyber Angels, and then you steal one of their ritual cards. That way you can get over the bet or the Azan a little bit easier. That doesn't seem that bad either. But yeah, definitely try it out. This is the list. We're on 2 of the Vampire Genesis. I was originally on 3, but I found that it was too bricky. The deck is definitely based around this card in general, but you are able to search it. We're on 1 of the Vampire Lords, since our skill makes other vampires in our deck Vampire Lord. You don't really need to be playing this card in multiple copies, so I'm only chilling with that at 1. Familiar is one of the best cards in your deck. This card is so crazy. It says that if this card is special summon, you can pay 500 life points, add a vampire monster from your deck to your hand, except Vampire Familiar. So when it's special summoned, you add Genesis or whatever other vampire you need. It also has this additional effect that says if this card's in your graveyard, you can send a vampire card from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard to special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So you literally get to special summon it off its own effect, pay the 500 life points, search for your vampire monster. It is very good, especially when you change its name to Vampire Lord, tribute it, and then, or not even tribute it, just, you know, send it to the graveyard, and then special summon your Vampire Genesis. Like, it is so good because you're able to do this in one combo by itself. The other one is Retainer that we're playing at 3. This card does the same exact thing that Familiar does, but instead of searching for vampire monster cards, it searches for vampire spell and trap cards. So they're pretty much the 2 of the same cards. And, you know, the Vampire spell we're playing is actually really good. Vampire Sorcerer is being played at 2 copies in this deck. A lot of people aren't really on this card. I like this card a lot. Whenever I play Vampires into TCG when they first got released, I think that was like XYZ format, probably like 2012, 2013 time frame. But it says if this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by its opponent's card, you can add one dark vampire monster or one vampire spell trap card from your deck to your hand. And it also has a graveyard effect that kind of works if you have Vampire Lord in hand. That just says that if it's in the graveyard, one dark monster you normal summon that's a vampire can be summoned without tributing. So this just brings out Lord without tributing. I mean, that part of the effect's not going to come up most. It's more like this part here that's actually going to come up. Being able to search anything if it's like destroyed. It's pretty nice. Going over to the spell card here, Vampire's Desire is crazy. Not only is this card a Foolish Burial, it's also a Monster Reborn. The only downside is that you can only use one Vampire's Desire effect per turn. So, like I said, target one face of monster you control, send a vampire monster from your deck to your graveyard with a different level. So this is really neat because we are also on like Zoma. You can target your Zoma and then send your familiar to the graveyard. So that's really cool in itself. Just because they have a different level. And so if you have a retainer, you can send familiar. If you have a familiar, you can send retainer. It's really nice. They kind of work together in that regard. But if either of them are already in your graveyard, you can target a vampire monster in your graveyard and send one monster you control to the graveyard. And if you do, special summon that target. So you can even send your vampire sorcerer to the graveyard to special summon one of these guys back, and then it can be used for a normal summon of the vampire lord. Another new card that came out in the box is called Galaxy Cyclone. This card is probably one of the best generic spell removals that we have that's not like on the limited list. So this card just says you target a set spell trap card on the field and destroy it. It's not like Nobleman of Extermination. It doesn't destroy that target, it just destroys it. So if your opponent would say activate Macrocosmos in response to Galaxy Cyclone still destroys that card. So that's pretty nice. Not only that, but it has an additional effect that you can banish it from your graveyard, target a face-up spell or trap card on the field and destroy it. So it's double spell and trap destruction. It kills Nightmare Wheel. For whatever reason, Mask of a Curse has been getting like crazy popular at my local, so it comes up for that card in particular. And so like Zomas of Spirit's also a really good one. Any field spell is really good. Just having the Galaxy Cyclone there is really nice in that regard. And of course you're hitting like battle traps and stuff too. Haunted Shrine, a card is going to be making its way at 2 in this deck. I think being able to reoccur a zombie monster 4 times is actually really nice. And yeah, I just like this card. Wall Disruption is going to be at 2 in this deck. This card is probably one of the best cards in the format. You really want it for the Cyber Angel out or any deck that really establishes a monster. I know that there's like the warrior deck playing around, the Joey Beat deck. And yeah, I like Survivor a lot, but I think that Wall Disruption still needs to be played if you're not against that deck in particular. And then of course we do have the Zone of the Spirit. I think this card is really strong. In this format, again, it's a zombie card, so you can definitely use it off of your Vampire's Desires if you absolutely want to. Yeah, going into the side, we are on the double offerings to the Doomed. That way we can replace our Wall of Disruptions if we absolutely need to. If we're against Joey Beat, we're on one of the Warrior Elimination. Again, Survivor. If you don't know, I'm not talking about DD Survivor. I'm talking about Battle Survivor. He's a really good card in the current format, so having this card to out any Warrior deck, also Amazonas, is really nice. We're also on the Straight Flush as well inside. There's been a lot of spell and trap card decks that just fill up their spell and trap card zones, so you just, blow them up. And then we are on the third Wall of Disruption, just in case you run into a deck and you're just like, hey, there's not on Joey Beat, might as well throw this guy in. And then, of course, we have Vampire Hunter, which is actually a card that goes really well with this deck. Your Vampire Familiar literally searches them. So if you play against any deck that's a Dark Attribute deck, he's the perfect card to play against it. Again, if you guys are interested in like trying the deck out, 100% recommend it. If you want to post your deck list in the Speed Duel League Discord under the Vampire section, definitely would like to see what decks you have. Again, I'm going to be making a short on the deck I like the most. Just tag me at Toxin when you do. I just want to give as much love to the Speed Duel League as I can. It is the central hub for anything Speed Duels, and if you're not already involved with that, I highly recommend getting involved with it because it is, like I said, the central hub. Anything you need Speed Duel wise is right there for you. But if you enjoyed this type of content, if you're excited to see me back to making content, make sure you leave a like on this video, make sure you subscribe to see more, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.